Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of A Good Lawyer's Wife, a Korean movie from 2003. Yeong-jak, played by Jung-min Hwang, is a successful lawyer who works long hours. While he is working, his wife, Ho-jeong, played by Moon, who gave up her dancing career in order to be a good lawyer's wife, raises their young son and works as like a dance instructor in a local gym. Now, they're basically in a sexually deficient marriage, so the husband is having an affair on the side, and the wife contemplates having an affair with a younger man. And the film actually opens quite oddly, because you're basically in a murder scene, with Jung-min Hwang's character arriving with journalists to observe some investigators who are unearthing some skulls and bones from a forest site. But authorities show up and kind of chase them out because they did not receive the proper permits to dig there. And then we cut to Moon's character, who's riding her bike, and a younger man's kind of following her. And at first it seems like he's stalking her, but as it turns out, he just lives next door. So this film, I'm going to tell you right now, A Good Lawyer's Wife is not a film that is driven by plot. If you're expecting like a traditional story, and you could tell this by what I've said so far, you're probably not going to like this movie. You know, it's driven instead by the characters and their interaction. It's one of those movies that flows naturally, but somehow is very difficult to predict. You know, early on as a viewer, you're wondering where this movie is going. You know, and just like the plot synopsis I just gave you, it's like, you know, what's happening here? You know what I mean? And even during the middle of the film, you're wondering where the film is going. It's one of those. And you're also wondering which genre of film it belongs to. You know, this is one of those genre benders that it kind of expertly blends in some low-key humor throughout, some character moments, some drama, some other stuff, which I will not disclose. I think it's a very nicely crafted and entertaining film. And watching movies like this is very refreshing for me, because it's different from the typical movie. But you got to kind of expect that going into it. There are also a lot of subtleties in what I like to call indirect communication, where a film trusts the viewer to piece things together themselves through the visuals, instead of the characters just explaining everything that's happening, right? And it will probably take multiple viewings to understand all of those intricacies and why these characters are so unsatisfied with their lives and their romantic relationships. This was directed by Sang-soo, who also directed The President's Last Bang, The Old Garden, and The Housemaid, the 2010 version. All good movies. And I like his directing style in A Good Lawyer's Wife, and there's kind of a blend of fixed camera work and handheld cam. There's also some close-ups followed by zoom-outs, which is quite odd but effective. And the editing is pretty fast-paced for a drama. You know, most of the individual scenes do not last very long. You know what I mean? You go through an individual scene, and then bam, you're at another one, and then bam, another one, and it moves pretty fast. You're not going to get long, drawn-out scenes in this film. You know what I mean? Which is, you know, it helps. It feels like a briskly paced flick, very easy to sit through. I like the music too, it's kind of whimsical. Now both leads are elite actors, but this is one of Moon's best performances and best roles of her entire career. She's just fantastic in this. You could put this up there with Oasis, in my opinion, in terms of performances from her. Now one thing you should know before going into this, outside of the fact that it's kind of an oddball film, it's kind of a genre bender, you know, it's not focused on plot as much as the character interaction, is that there is a bunch of nudity and sexual content in this film. The sex in particular is kind of shot to be more realistic and raw compared to the typical scenes like that in movies. It gets pretty sultry at times in this, but I think it works, definitely. It's an integral part of the themes of the film, you know, involving marriage, infidelity, and other stuff like that. So I think it's effectively placed and relevant. It's not gratuitous. There's also an element of intensity to this film, which is expressed through various things, a few things I won't mention, but like even early on, there's like a father character, Jung-min Hwang's father, is in a really rough physical condition, and you get to see that, You know what I mean? It's a little edgy, and it's a little uncomfortable to see, you know what I mean, at times. And then there's some things that happen later on that are pretty edgy as well and dramatically intense. So again, this film's got kind of like a smorgasbord. It's like a potpourri of different stuff, but it works. I like the ending a lot. You know, it's the exact opposite of the type of ending you'd see in like a film like this. Like it's oddly like positive and blackly humorous. And when it ends, I'm just like, wow, that was actually kind of neat. So A Good Lawyer's Wife it's one of those like higher quality Korean films from the early 2000s that is kind of underrated, I think, by fans of Korean cinema. No one really talks about this film at all nowadays. But looking at the ratings and reviews it received back when it came out, I was not surprised to see that the critics tended to like it more than like the average movie fan, because it is kind of an odd film, but I definitely recommend it if you want something different. It's currently available to rent on YouTube and Google Play. And as always, I will see you next time.